I will destroy everything if I don't get a deduction for high New York State taxes.
Interesting. Right.
So
But the other Republicans don't want to do like they don't want it's basically a gimme to people to blue states.
yeah, but if you think about it, how does a Republican get elected in a blue state to fight for things like this? And that's our Congress, folks. Gotta
Yeah,
love them.
interesting. Uh, if that doesn't, I mean, I don't know if that would actually kill the bill. It seems like they would just, it was capped at 10,000 in Trump's 2017 bill. I'm just reading this here. Is that what it was? It was a 10K salt tax was in 2017.
That sounds right when they're pushing for, I think, 30K.
40, so they want 40K.
Yeah.
I don't know. It seems like a gimme. Seems like a gimme, from the other side. Just like, why not let them have that if supposedly this bill is so good, I guess it's worth it maybe. I don't know. I don't know. Typical Wall Street machinations. How's everyone doing today?
Got a good sized crowd in here, Alex. Nice to see. Thanks everyone for tuning in.
Yeah, so um, I don't know. This is kind of again, this is last week. Friday was actually pretty interesting on the spy front. This week is not really interesting again so far today. Let's see what happened. Let's see what Donna's weighing in on that salt at 10K is way too low. She's in purple VA. Oh, Donna, where are you at? I'm in VA too. And it hurt our middle income household greatly when it came into being. Oh, no way, Donna. I'm from there. That's cool. Yeah, interesting. Um, I thought it was higher than that at 10K, but I don't know. I feel like it'll still pass. I feel like this is just the opening salvo. Like the House does its thing, Senate does its thing, and then it goes to reconciliation, and that's just how things. And then something gets passed, something horrendous that'll be bad for all of us. I don't know.
I mean, that's the structural problem with Congress, right? Is they get
Yeah,
elected to spend money for their district. And, it's like if they start talking about balancing the budget and cutting entitlements, they'll get blown out of the water. So
yeah.
something's got to give, but I don't think it's possible for Congress to spend less money.
Right. Yeah. I mean, so look, you can see here today again, this is how this besides Friday, where we actually did have a little bit of good day trading stuff. Um, this is how things have been. The first, the mark, I guess maybe a little bit Thursday, but um really this is how it's just we open up or down, but mainly up recently. It does nothing. It stays within this range. So I do this thing opening breakout strategy every morning with my bargain bin traders. And we actually got I think we got like an 11 or 15% win today. We just kind of got in right here. We got out quickly. We're, trading the SPY. But the strategy has been kind of slow in terms of trades because we've been doing this every single day for a while. For like the last 2 weeks, we just open and then we kind of just drift. We drift within this opening range, right? We drift like we go up, we go, and then we come back down, we settle. I think the expected move at the beginning of the day was like 2.5 points. And I think let me see, we're up, 4.8, a little above that, but I mean, we're still coming back down. We have another 20 minutes. We'll see what happens, but not really any action at all. Pretty slow on that front. Um,
Obviously we have FOMC on Wednesday, right? And then I think Thursday's a federal holiday. So Thursday, Juneteenth, happy
yeah.
Juneteenth.
So this is like a weird week. And look at this. I mean, look, now ain't this crazy, folks? Look, there's literally war breaking out in the Middle East. Nothing's happening with peace talks. So volatility though is still really freaking low. It's crazy. Some people are saying it's being suppressed, via sort of financial system. machinations. Uh, but volatility is still it's still pretty low. I mean, we're under 20 right now. We ticked up a little bit. Um, when did Iran attack or when did Israel attack Iran?
Yeah, you want to get that order of operations right. Let me here, I'll
Was it
pull that
Thursday
up
or
for
was
you.
it Thursday or Friday that they did the strike?
I'll give you an exact today they're saying today's the third day, so that would have made it Friday, right? Let us know in the chat. Yeah, hate to get that wrong.
So I was thinking about this. I was thinking about this. I was like, isn't it funny how seemingly like all these things happen right before the weekend or on the weekend? I feel like a lot of major events, whether it's Trump tweeting shit or stuff, excuse me, uh, whether it's Trump tweeting, people starting wars, it's like they just wait for they literally are just waiting till Friday.
Well, it's
Uh,
the famous Friday afternoon news drop. You know, when your company has bad
right,
news to report, you
right,
want to dump it while people are distracted.
right. Yeah, it's crazy though. Everything and these markets are just indefatigable, man. They do not want to slow down. Rates are up a little bit today. We're still, like I said, I've been saying like we're just 4.5 is like where we're land. We're not, this is kind of the stasis zone. I don't see us moving from here much any near term timeline. And that's kind of just what's been happening. A little bit of chop, but just kind of centering around that 4.5 or so mark. Um, So yeah, pretty. I don't know. In QQQ, I don't know. QQQ is probably had a little bit better day, but still kind of the same thing. No, I don't know what the intraday action was on that. Let's go to 3 minutes. See.
Hey, look at that. That's a little tease of what you're going to talk about later. What's on the bottom of the chart there?
Oh yeah, indeed it is. Um, indeed it is. So again, look, this gap up. This it didn't retrace as much as SPY did, but um still after that initial open, I feel like for like 2 weeks that the initial open hits and then we just don't do anything. It's hard. It's a hard trader's market.
Well,
Um
we were talking, Alex, before you got on, or before we got on stream about what are the chances of the U.S. getting dragged into a war? What are the chances of it, expanding beyond just Israel and Iran? And the market's saying maybe not that high of a chance. I mean, it's not soaring, but
yeah,
it's
people are saying Iran just wants to rule over their little fiefdom and they're willing just to stay in the mullahs are willing to stay in power, and just have their little kingdom and stop saber rattling. But we'll see. I don't know. Those hypersonic missiles are pretty crazy to watch, though.
it's a little disturbing. But like we were saying before the stream, that I think it's under a dozen casualties total on both sides. It's probably higher now, but it does seem to beat the trench warfare of World War II. Just hundreds of thousands of young men dying in the trenches. Maybe this is a step towards a more civilized world. I don't know.
Yeah.
This is obviously controversial stuff, folks. Feel free to weigh in the chat. But obviously, we want peace, prosperity. We want it to shut down as soon as possible. I think most of you would agree.
Yeah. And, like oil obviously spiked. Um, it's interesting that oil spiked the day before the strikes, a couple of days before, had a big move. Makes you wonder. Because you said it happened on Friday, right?
Yeah, on the 13th.
Yeah. So pretty solid move up on there. But now, and then it kept on coming up. On Friday, obviously, now it's kind of selling off. Not, I mean, you know, not a lot, not as much as action as you would think if if there was a serious risk of sort of regional stability there with the Israel-Iran thing.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, what do you think, Alex, about taking a flyer on like just a way out of the money oil call? Just just in case something crazy happens, in case they do assassinate the supreme leader, just like a little bit of a lottery ticket.
I would actually I would probably short oil because I think I think oil is going to I don't think Saudi Arabia likes Iran really. I know that they're sort of playing down the aisle there, trying to finger wag at Israel, but they also, Iran is a competitor for oil. So I do think that if anything were to happen, Saudi Arabia would probably turn on the taps a little more than they already have, just to smooth out the transition, you know? Um, but yes, I wouldn't really want to go long oil, especially. I mean, this is a pretty cliff face rise so far. I don't know. What do you all think in the chat? Anybody long or short oil here? Anybody trade the commodities? I do think that commodities in general, we're heading towards. They're going to be good, right? I mean, gold is still, I mean, looking great. Silver.
Yeah, how is silver doing? We recommended that in the newsletter a couple weeks ago, which was, I think, a nice play because we had seen silver was lagging gold significantly. It was, and if it just caught up to the historical correlation, it was in a nice opportunity. Let us know if anyone got in on that trade.
Yeah, I mean, silver's catching up to gold. It was a little laggy, but now it's jumping. So I think in general, like commodities are gonna be looking pretty good. And then knock on, look at that car was Bungie. Um, Bungie's what are they, soybeans or are they fertilizer? What is let's see what actually Bungie creates. I think is how you pronounce it.
Not the video
Soybeans,
game
yeah.
company.
No, yeah, Bungie's a video game company, Bungie or Gum, but they're spelled different. Yeah, it's a soybean exporter, fertilizer, and grain. Yeah, they're jumping. I think let's just look at a general index fund for it. It's jumping. I mean, I think this is a pretty good setup. I mean, just macro, not looking at the chart, but just macro stuff. I do think this is, probably maybe a pretty good setup for like commodities in the medium term over the summer. It could be one of the better performing sectors over the summer. So I know SPY is, I mean, we're, on SPY we're hitting like, all-time highs, but it's a very slow grind up. Um, I think what all-time highs was like 613. We're grinding closer to that. Yeah, so in terms of like, you know, some more maybe some more significant upside, you know, I think commodities could have their day in the sun pretty soon. Really down a good bit from like 2022, which was like the most recent high. You go back to 2015, they get higher.
So, Alex, do you think there's any chance that FOMC, that Jerome Powell shocks the world and does make a move on Wednesday? The market's pricing in no rate moves, but always a chance, right?
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, weren't the last couple like inflation readings, they were pretty deflationary, right?
Yeah, they were solid, nothing amazing, but moving in the right direction. I mean, they've certainly signaled no rate moves pretty strongly. Of course, Trump is screaming, give me cuts, but Jerome Powell's holding steady.
Yeah, I don't see why he would change his tune now. Nothing new has happened. What are the events we have coming up here this week? We have retail sales tomorrow. Home builder confidence, FOMC, interest rate decision, jobless claims, new home sales next week. Yeah, it's probably gonna be a nothing burger. I think I called it, yeah, I think this is like the market where nothing happens. Like nothing can slow this market down, but it's also not moving very fast, but it's just gonna just keep on grinding. Um,
Great crowd, by the way. Thanks again for everyone tuning in. If you're new to our rooms, please say hi in the chat. Let us know who you are. Let us know where you're tuning in from. See definitely a few people we recognize. Charles, good to see you in here. Annette, I'm sure there's plenty more. Good. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Hope people had a good Father's Day weekend. I know my wife went all out, so good to feel loved as a dad.
yeah. Um, One thing I wanted to talk about today, I don't know. Hey, does anybody use footprints in in their trading? Anybody know what those are? What's up, David? From Austin, Texas. Nice, dude. I've never been to Austin. I want to actually check out Austin. I do like,
Go to Joe Rogan's Comedy Club.
yeah, I know. I want to go there. I want to see the Stevie Ray Vaughan statue. What's up, Tom from Chicago? I might go to Chicago this summer, actually, Tom. Let me know if there's any good places I should check out.
You go to the famous concrete beach. You ever go to that? Always funny. People look like they're having a good time, but to me, it looks like a parking lot backed up to the water.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing about Chicago. You basically have a beach, a city right next to a beach in the north in Illinois, because those lakes are so big. So these are everybody see this. These are footprints. You know, does anybody use these? The bean. Okay, I'll check out the bean at Millennium Park. Um, does anybody use these in their trading? Does anybody know what these are? Have any clue what are you looking at right here?
I don't know what these are, Alex. I want to learn.
Okay, so this is called the volume footprint. And you know, I use there's something else I use the volume anchored profile here, which is similar, but it's not the same. So forget about that today. We talked about that plenty, but this is something else you can use. So um so basically what this is this is the volume footprint for different price levels, right? So you can see at specific price levels, you know, right, how much was bought, how much was sold, and you can change this to reflect the bid as well. If you go to settings, like see like how much bids and how much ask, like the bid and ask price. I don't really uh use that as much, but okay, so this is what did I just turn on Delta? I use buy and sell. So you can see here, like at specific price levels on this candlestick, right? So if you're looking at this candlestick and you're wondering, you know, beyond just the typical chart technical analysis, where is the actual price support levels for a period? You can see here that you have this is the buy side, this is the sell side, you know, the bid or the ask. So you have the number of the amount of volume at each of these levels, right? And you can use this to establish, okay, what is support and resistance zones, you know, in this period. And if anybody has questions, you know, as I go through this, feel free to ask. So you can see here, for instance, right on this period, you know, at around this price, we had 7.75 million uh you know, sell orders, 9.19 million buy orders. So we had more here, right? This means that like basically at this price level, there's more buyers and sellers. Now, this is called basically a pivot area or pivot. This is where the most volume took place trading today, right? This little white area right here. So, and then this is the value area high and value area low. This lines up on this candlestick with the pivot area, but sometimes this is wider. So it can go from like here to down here. That's basically where like 70% of the total traded volume occurred. So for instance, between 2090 and 2074 is where the majority of trading volume occurred. So you can use this, and then the delta is basically uh, bid minus ask. So if there's more buying pressure, it's going to be positive. If it's more selling, it's going to be negative. You can see that this is the delta here is positive, the delta here is negative. Now, this is a red candle, this is a green candle. It doesn't always correspond. For instance, this candlestick was green, right? But the delta, right, there's actually more selling than buying. And in future sessions, we're going to talk about that more and like why and what to look out for with that. But I like to use the delta on this just to kind of establish like, okay, where's the pressure? Like where there's people, buying and selling at what prices. And you can use this for multiple time periods, right? So for instance, if you're on the day and you're looking at, we're looking at Intel here, you can see the value area high, value area low. You can see, and there's this thing right here. This is called, basically, this is what's it called? I forget what it's called, but then basically this is like an area of, uh, Tom, uh, I don't know. I don't know. I think this is recorded. I don't know where to get it though. Maybe,
Tom,
but
if you drop your email address, we will get your recording
yeah.
and anyone else.
Yeah, Donna, this is the white is called the point of control. Yeah. This is called I forget what it's called, but basically this can establish um basically like a support line, right? Because there's a lot more volume trading here versus it's a diagonal it's it's a diagonal calculation from this one to this one. So in this case, it would establish a support line. For this if we were to break over on Intel tomorrow, maybe. Um, actually, I can like just look this up. What's it called? I forget what it's called. Mhm. Value area, value area, point of control. Oh yeah, imbalance. Okay, that's what it is. So imbalance. This is called like an imbalance, right? So an imbalance area is where there's over 300% more selling or more buying versus the next lowest little cell here. So this one is one of them right here. You can have let me just make sure I have you can have stacked imbalance levels, which when that happens can be a good little technical analysis tool to use for entries and exits. So for instance, this is a stacked balance level. You can see here that on Intel back on May 14th, we had a stacked level here on the sell side. When this happens, if you're using TradingView, they don't have this. It doesn't come with TOS with Thinkorswim. It does come with TradingView, but I think someone at Donna, you were asking me. This is called. You just go up to here, where your bars and candles are. It's called the volume footprint. So this creates basically a little resistance shelf. So you can see this play out in real time, right? So basically, there was it's it's volume, but it's also price because it's both. But basically, at these levels, right? When these lines get printed out, these are the resistance lines. Because we're below it could be support lines also. But these are basically the prices that sellers really went out on, and buyers just couldn't really move past. And so you have this, if you had been trading on, say, May 14th, you would have seen that that day, right? As- Before the close, but especially, as we entered the close, and then on Thursday, the next day, these would have been displayed on your chart. Now, what's really cool about this is if you had been trading, trying to figure out an entry on Intel, which is the stock we're looking at, you would have seen that on Thursday, right? Look, there's no this candlestick, there's nothing really from a TA perspective. If you were just looking at the candlestick right here to here, there's nothing really to show you uh, where a resistance or support line is. I mean, it's not like it's that bouncing off the low here. It's kind of like right in the lower eighth of this bar. There's not much. You wouldn't really had anything clear. However, if you had been using the volume profile, you could have seen this, that when these bands got printed out that day, right? We had a run up against um, against that resistance. Now, what's interesting, the next day, right? We had a run up, and this is in these cells right here. Forget about the candlestick and the wicks. Look at the cells. Look at where the cells are running up against the other cells, right? By cell, I mean, these red and green boxes here. They ran up against that resistance line once. Let me just change it to delta. Ran up against the resistance line once, ran up against the resistance line twice. Now, if you two times, even though, right, we had this big sell off on Intel, recovery. Now you might be thinking, okay, well, maybe we're just going to recover that zone, especially the next day because we opened a little bit higher, finished the day higher. But again, the price did not break that resistance line. So you had basically two rejections of the resistance line. In that case, you could be and delta was also short, right? It was also negative. So you had positive delta here, negative delta here. It's a second bounce against the resistance. You can use that information to think, okay, maybe I should go long with this thing. And if you did, right, using that, we open on Monday, the next week, you open lower again, and then you kind of just sold off along the way. So this is a little bit of it's order flow. It's a little bit advanced, but I thought it could be cool just to show it, and we can talk about this more in future uh,
You
sessions.
you said go long there, Alex. I think did you mean go short
I mean,
because of
yeah, I
that
meant go
part up?
short. If
Yeah.
it bounced above this reject, yeah, you'd be looking to go short because we had two tests of the line of the resistance line, and then you're okay. Well, there's the delta is not only did we reject it on this one, but we also had a low delta. We also had a negative red delta. And then you could be thinking, okay, hey, this is going to go short. And then especially, once once this crossed over below the 9 and the 20 and was in between those two, you know, that's that would even be a better entry if you use the moving averages, use any of the technical analysis indicators you use, but you also look at the order flow. Because order flow is going to be it's going to be a really good insight. And there's a ton of ways to use this. There's a lot of sort of, I wouldn't say art, but there's a lot of nuances to it. Um, but we can talk about this more. But feel free to look up, on YouTube yourself. Maybe I'll even do like a little mini course on it. But it's really cool to dive into this, and especially because you can see so much, right? You can see where the majority of trading volume occurred. And a lot of day traders will use this. If you go to SPY,
So this gives you a peek behind the curtains, folks, about how Alex builds the tools that are a lot simpler for the rest of us, but the kind of legwork that goes into teasing out these metrics with hopefully some significant predictive power. Um, But
Yeah, you can see here that this is the point of control, right? This is where in this 3 minute area, right? The majority of shares traded at 601.96 or so, but this is the value range down here and down. That's where 70% of the shares are trading. And then you can see the delta, it's all changing in real time. These are real order flows coming in, from the exchanges, from all the buyers and the sellers. And there we go. So now we're done with the day. Monday is wrapped up. Nice little recovery just to end the day. We ended
of
up,
course, this won't shock people, I don't think, but seeing some reports that Congress members were, of course, trading military industrial stocks ahead of the Israeli attack. Now, they might have just been innocently buying shares in Northrop and Lockheed, but it goes to show we've been on a nice run with the insider strategy, and always seems like someone knows something out there.
yeah, yeah. I like Kratos. I mean, forget about this today, but in general, I mean, look at this growth in defense stocks. And not only American defense stock, we talked about this last week, but European defense, I mean, it's just soaring. BAE systems, they're all up so much. I mean, so I think defense and commodities I think are two of the big ones. Nuclear, one thing I want to check out while we were on here before Oklo. Oklo's on a tear, a little bit of a sell-off here. I was looking for do a little short on Oklo today or maybe tomorrow. We'll see how it goes. But look at that. Look at that. It's up 127% in 3 months.
Of
Um,
course, you were on that literally what 2 years ago, so real nice run for our subscribers who have been with Wellpin for a while.
yeah, I think we were into it over down here when it was basically nothing. And then it just
Nu-
soared.
Nuclear is the future. So, but yeah, so kind of in this flat market, and everyone well worried about the Fed and the market closing for the week. There's like, where can you find winners, Alex? And what's a tool that's a little simpler than diving deep into the volume footprints? And it's you guys saw it in the invites to this event. Alex put together a really cool scanner, and let us know what you want to see him scan. Bring your favorite tickers. I think Alex is going to break down a little bit about how it works first, and share some nice winners that people have seen with it. But yeah, I mean, this is really the market environment for finding some individual stocks, because the market as a whole, flat, a little volatile, but doesn't mean there's not some big individual winners out there for us to track down.
Yeah, yeah. So the volume order flow is stuff is I recommend everyone look into that. It's really powerful. But there's plenty of other strategies to without that. You don't really have to use that. It's a very good tool to have in your arsenal. But I'm going to tell you guys about something I call Project X-Ray. I really like this as well. Now, before we start that, this is mandatory disclosure. Testimonials shown are from my very best students from this and other research services. The profits and performance shown are not typical to any one individual subscriber. We make no future earnings claims, and you may lose money. Trades expressed from backtested results in order to demonstrate the potential of the system from March 2020 through March 2025. From the study, we've seen 87% win rate on options, with an average return, including winners and losers, of 48% on an average 6-day hold time in a model portfolio. We can't guarantee specific future results. There's always a high degree of risk involved in trading, so see our terms on the WealthPin homepage for more information. And let's be real, ladies and gentlemen, there's going to be losers in trading. There's no black box miracle system that prints out winning trades automatically. The whole purpose of our research and work with traders is to help give them an edge in the markets. If you can't handle a losing trade, you really